Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and here's a headline from you today. XRP leads crypto market recovery. And fair enough to point out that, at the time I'm recording this at least, the market's down a bit, but that was after a dramatic surge to the upside yesterday. Really, truly, extremely volatile day yesterday. And we saw XRP as low as 44 cents, and then later in the day up to like 51 cents, I think. That's a pretty big swing for that short of period of time, even for crypto. It's not that stuff like that has never happened before. You don't typically see that, not on most days. Most of what it is to be in the world of crypto, in terms of price action anyway, it's a lot of sideways movement. There's a fair bit of downside stuff, but the most fun parts, that's just unfortunately not what occurs most days. But I'm also completely okay with that personally. It doesn't bug me. It doesn't emotionally impact me because I understand that fortunes are made based on activities that occur when prices are down, when you're in a bear market. So I don't mind that one bit. And in terms of the future for XRP, well, let me just tell you this. I think it's going to prove to be one of the very most valuable cryptocurrencies ever created and implemented in enterprise-grade software. When I say valuable, in that moment, I'm actually not referencing price. Yes, I think it could be worth an absolute fortune, but setting that aside, in terms of what it actually does, it's a no-brainer. In fact, I want to share with you, and I transcribed this, I want to share with you something that Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank fame had to say on the idea of converting from one fiat currency to another and using a digital asset in between. And fair enough to point out, and I'll tell you here, even at the outset of the video, he was talking about implementing stablecoins, and that's fine, but that's not going to be a truly global solution. I think that, in certain corridors, you're going to find, because, it's not a one-size-fits-all, you're going to find some degree of permanent adoption for stuff like that, I anticipate, but you're never going to be able, with a fiat-backed currency, to be able to make markets the world over in every jurisdiction and then have deep liquidity connecting to everything. That's never going to happen. But if you have a jurisdictionless cryptocurrency like XRP, which is not backed by anything, which is kind of the point, and there's no counterparty risk, well, if that's the case, then that's why what we've seen happen the last decade has been happening. There's a reason that XRP's been adopted on just about every cryptocurrency exchange on the entire damn planet. And I know, set aside what's happening in the United States because of the SEC for the time being. There's a reason, though. And fine, part of it was first mover advantage because it's one of the first cryptos ever. But even setting that aside, what I'm getting at here is that there is no counterparty risk. And so there's not really any sort of reason that you wouldn't have XRP in every jurisdiction on the entire damn planet, because it's not a risk in and of itself. But when you're talking about fiat currency, or stable coins or central bank digital currencies, doesn't really matter, backed by fiat currencies, there is counterparty risk there, and there always will be. And there's risks associated with holding it. As a result, that would be different from just fluctuations regarding open market price for crypto, because understand that the monetary policy for stablecoins and central bank digital currencies, it's whatever the governments that created them say the policy is. And so in the case of the United States dollar, it's let's print this damn thing into oblivion because reasons. Makes logical sense. Well, of course it doesn't. But that's what they're doing. You can debase it as much as you want. If you own it, go ahead. But see, that's why, again, you're not going to have one platform where everybody comes to the world over. And how would you even manage that with, about 200 different countries on the damn planet and all sorts of different regulatory things to consider for each different country? It's never happening. So yes, you could find some corridors where people choose to use stable coins for individual transfers. It's never going to be a global solution here. But even so, the reason I want to highlight this is because Kevin O'Leary just gets this. He really, truly just gets it. The actual utility. And he's talking about changing the way that money flows. And so before sharing additional thoughts and ideas on this, though, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Shout out and credit to Stefan Huber for sharing this video clip. And it reads, it's transcribed as follows. And this is interesting. So I want to note here. So he was on stage, and Kevin responded to a comment from the host saying, Jamie Dimon, so that's the JP Morgan CEO, mind you, Jamie Dimon publicly stated that cryptocurrencies are decentralized Ponzi schemes. You may have heard that in the news. I mentioned it once or twice on the channel. It's a completely absurd proposition, this idea, decentralized Ponzi schemes. Then you don't know what the hell the definition of a Ponzi scheme is, but he's saying this stuff. And it couldn't be more obvious 13 years in that cryptos are not going to cease to exist. It could not be more obvious. So why is this highly intelligent man saying what he's saying? Well, Kevin O'Leary broke it down, and when he's talking about the movement of money converting from one fiat currency to another, he understands how important this use case is. The only part that he might not understand, could be missing to this point, is understanding that if you really want to solve a global problem, you need a jurisdictionless cryptocurrency with no counterparty risk. Otherwise, it will never be used everywhere. So that part, I've never seen him even articulate that concept. So I'm not supposing that he actually knows that. He may not know that, and that's fine. I don't know everything either, and he's researching all sorts of stuff. He's a busy man, so it's not some harsh critique. I'm just noting that. But here's what he said to that. He says, yep, so let me qualify my statements on this because I have an investment in JP Morgan as well. I have a lot of respect for him. He may be one of the most successful banking managers in the history of that sector. However, that was an uninformed statement. It was not helpful at a time we're trying to drive regulation through 2 different bills on the Hill right now, along with many other private investors who have been spending a lot of time on this. Essentially, what Jamie said there, he was talking his book. This is my interpretation. He feels threatened by some of this technology, particularly around payment systems, because banks make money transferring assets. That's right, they make money by transferring assets. And so I just want to be clear again, this is a primary reason I wanted to share this with you. Kevin O'Leary understands the utility of what XRP is solving today. Not even just being positioned to solve, but actually solving today via RippleNet's on-demand liquidity here. He gets that. And he's citing the stuff here that Ripple's been talking about. They're not just talking points. This is real-world stuff. So again, let me go back to the transcription. Let me repeat that last sentence. He feels threatened by some of this technology, particularly around payment systems, because banks make money transferring assets. It's a cost of friction in the system. And one of the only reasons that I invested in Circle, and I'm an investor in Circle, and supporting their initiative, and I'm a big believer in what stable coins can do, is it's time to get rid of that friction. And it's not important that banks be protected so that they can make fees from that friction. When you transfer the US dollar into the Swiss franc to buy Nestle on the Zurich exchange, these banks add 0 value. There's no value created in the ACH transfer fees. If we could use a stable coin that's regulated and approved by both sides of that transaction, it would be more transparent. It would be much faster. It would definitely be more productive, but above all, I would save millions of dollars, and so would everybody else. I can't wait till we can do that, because that kind of innovation should be supported, and it is. That's why we're all here. This isn't about, speculation on asset price. This is about reducing the fees of how the world's economies work. More transparent, more productive, completely auditable, regulated, but less expensive. So does Jamie Dimon feel threatened? You're damn right he does. That's a big part of how he makes money. Too bad. You gotta love that. And he's hitting the nail on the head here. And so, a couple of things. He did say accurately here, it's not about speculation on an asset price in terms of solving the problem and the value that the asset can solve. But the neat thing is, even though that's not what that portion of it is about, when considering such a thing, there will be people like me, and perhaps this is part of the reason that you're interested in XRP. And because I'm interested in all sorts of developers bringing utility to the XRP ecosystem. Ripple's certainly doing that. But I do believe that increasingly you're going to see more people speculate on XRP, meaning price go up, it's supply and demand, up dramatically. This is my supposition. It's why I'm in XRP, a big part of it. Because as XRP continues to be more and more useful and more adopted and more adopted and more adopted, with it being a deflationary cryptocurrency, finite supply, what do you think is going to happen? As it becomes more useful, it's going to put more eyeballs on it and more people jumping in. And we are so early to the party here. So even though Solving that problem is not about not particularly about the price of the asset anyway. Yes, it has to have a sufficient blend of price and liquidity. I get that, but that's not the point. The point is, assuming there's that, the price doesn't really matter, not for the utility, right? It matters to speculators. I care a ton about that. And then as far as his statement having to do with, if it's regulated on both sides, then it could be adopted. I'm paraphrasing now, but that's effectively part of the message that he communicated there. Well, sure. But when you're talking about XRP, which doesn't have the monetary policy of some sort of government backing it and controlling it, there's not as much to figure out. It's more like, here's the code. Do you like it or not? It's a lot more straightforward because XRP would then just be regulated however you regulate other decentralized cryptocurrencies in various jurisdictions. And that's still being figured out because it's early days, including in the United States, but that seems less complex than sufficiently regulating a stable coin or a central bank digital currency, especially when you're talking about using a centralized asset like that with counterparty risk. If you're talking about using that in two different jurisdictions, you got to have both sides agree with that. And that's for just one type, from converting from one to another, one stable coin. And you're not going to have one stable coin be the bridge for every jurisdiction. And again, it's obvious, as I was citing at the outset of the video, you're never going to have that because there is counterparty risk. And there are all sorts of geopolitical reasons that's never going to occur. You're never going to have one world currency. Never. It's not a snowball's chance in hell that's happened. And you would have to have that in order for a stable coin to potentially be able to do that. You're never going to have it. Not a freaking chance in hell. So, but see, that's why this is also exciting, though, is because, and Kevin O'Leary sees it, this is a massive problem. The technology exists today to make this not to be a problem. We just need greater adoption of crypto, just in a general sense. And XRP can rise, along with the rest of the asset class. Even if XRP is never number one in market cap, and I don't know if it ever will or won't be, but even if not, it's not going to matter. I just want XRP to get its piece, and it looks like, well, it's certainly been happening for about a decade now. I don't see any reason that's actually going to stop. Not even because of the SEC. Pretty cool stuff so far as I'm concerned. And again, so knowing what I know about this and seeing that Kevin O'Leary, he gets it. He's a brilliant businessman. He's getting, in a general sense, everything he said right there. It's just that there's a piece of it that he hasn't talked about ever, that I've seen anyway. And that's that you need to have a jurisdictionless cryptocurrency that's positioned as a bridge. That's the one piece I've never heard him tout. If he says that, I think he's got the whole picture. But that's what XRP does. And then if it's doing this, and if XRP is useful for just one use case, I think it never goes away. Let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I missing something? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.